This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so today is Thursday, July 16th, and as always, everything that we're going to be talking about today is for educational purposes only, and nothing is intended as any type of investment advice. So I really loved this setup, and of course, it happened the second that we started our meeting, but based off of what we had in here, we had buying at the high. So we had the 7, and then we had right underneath about 740. So we had that buying to get to our trigger towards, and then obviously now, it's kind of a moot point because of the fact that it's already made its move. So when we have a stock like this that's parabolic, what we want to do is we want to look for some buying that's coming in near these highs. We want to look for a pullback and then a trigger back towards the upside. So at this point, just going to be looking for some controlling prints. As long as we get those controlling prints, pull back, and then obviously, based off what we're seeing right now, 10 would be perfect case scenario to give us some information. I just don't see enough that's coming in here yet to push us up to that 10 level. So just going to need more buying, and obviously, the trade is already taking place, so there's not really much to go over until we get some type of new information, or if you're already in it. But definitely, I like this one a lot. It was the first one we're going to talk about, and it is moving. Next thing is ACIU. So ACIU, there are shares available. Make sure that you go out there and get that. We can see that the range is absolutely, is really, really nice. So the one thing about it, though, is that as we were coming up to that 15, I wasn't, again, I didn't see as much as I would have liked to see there. And everything that we've seen so far in this consolidation is very, very mixed. We haven't really got something that's great at the top of it. You have some decent buying. So you can see like the 1175 area, 1180, but not as much as I'd like to see, especially for a building position, or showing us that it's going to be able to break out. So we really want to see what's going to happen at this 11, because so far it's holding very, very well. The buyers are keeping it back up. But if we continue to see that selling coming into it as we go, we're going to end up coming right back down to where it started, because if you look from the actual movement itself, the volume was not really there for such a huge move. It was very early. The orders were very thin, but overall, I just don't see enough that came in up near those highs for us to come back. So if we keep seeing the selling, we should have a real nice short coming back down towards that 10. Next thing, LCI. So this is another one where it's interesting. As we were coming back up, the volume did really pick up, and we do have some nice buying that came in right above that 750 level, but it's not really that great because of the fact that afterwards it kind of just slowed down and really stopped its trading. And if you look at the actual prints themselves, they're just so mixed. There's nothing there that really jumps out yet. But based off its range, based off of its ability, and it's also shortable, so definitely keep that in mind. We could go both ways. There's definitely going to be a trade there. We just have not seen that show of hand come in yet, and that's obviously something that we're going to need in order to make our decisions on. But based off its variables, it's got a lot of potential. We just need to see something coming in. And by the way, as I'm talking, LGHL just had some really nice buying prints that came in 874 to 877 and 920 in that area. So it's definitely showing us getting buying at those highs. Just keep that in mind from what we talked about before. FTFT, another one. There are shares available. Now, as we came up to this 5, it was so weak. I think there were 2 bid prints that ended up coming as it kind of pulled back from that 5 level. So unfortunately, we don't have enough to trigger towards that 5. But what we want to see is right now it's been holding very well in the consolidation. This is the type of stuff we want to see. You can see right here 375. You can see right here coming 363 to 373. We want to see bursts like this that are showing building in this stage, and enough building to give us a way to trigger up, even though it doesn't have those prints there. So those 2 positions just within themselves are showing us that they definitely have expectations of being able to move this thing a little bit higher. The volume that it went up during, especially the time period right before 8 o'clock, you can see that's pretty high volume. So I like the move that came up. It definitely has the potential to be able to get back towards there. But unfortunately, once again, it's just our percentage do get lower just because of the fact that it doesn't have any type of controlling prints that did come at that 5 level. Then BOXL. So BOXL, I don't know if you guys were watching earlier, but 350, Dave had called out the 350 ask prints, but something that was even more interesting was the reaction afterwards. 351, 352, 354. We got a huge amount of buying that came in, and it showed that it was absolutely fantastic, and it showed us that they were definitely going to be building based off of the size of the positions. So we know that we're coming back down, but this definitely has the potential. It triggered towards that upside as a very high percentage, because that was just a tremendous amount of buying that came into there. So the fact that we're pulling back right now, it looks like we're starting to get into a downtrend, but it really isn't. It's more of that. It's definitely more of a pullback based off of just the huge buying that we saw coming in there. It's going to be looking for a trigger in this one, and we've seen this thing can run. too. So, even though it's trading very consolidated right now, as long as we get that clean break, and once the market opens, keep in mind, it's going to be trading, 1.5, 2 million. It's going to be a lot of volume based over what they showed us coming into this morning. But nice, well, once again, if we're right in this consolidation, right in this area, 350 and above, we have absolutely fantastic buy. So everything out there this morning that we have is decent, but we haven't really got that great, besides LGHL, but unfortunately it actually made its move already. Which doesn't mean that we're not going to get a continued move, but the prints that we had for the move are already came into fruition. But everything else out there is kind of iffy. And when I say iffy, it's kind of sitting on the precipice of going either way at this moment. And obviously that's not something that we want to do for the beginning of our day. We want to find something that's completely definitive. So that's something that we definitely need to focus on coming into the morning, is get that clean show of hand that comes in to show us exactly what's going to happen. All right, guys, anything else out there that I missed? So one thing that I do want to just bring up quick as well is that if you look at like JetBlue, yeah, I know it's not doing anything right now, but UAL, if you look at the airlines, they just keep popping up this morning. So there's been some definitely some interest and some big volume that's been coming into them. I know UAL is something that you guys watch constantly and almost every single day, but definitely keep an eye on them, because whenever I see something just continuously popping up on like the rapid risers or rapid losers, most of the time we end up seeing some type of breakout or some type of move that comes in there. So definitely something just to keep an eye on. MS or no? Morgan Stanley. Let's see. So the problem with Morgan Stanley is, on average trades about $1.55, but it's just a little bit too consolidated. And the thing about it is that the volume, overall trades about 12 million. Usually you get a lot of kind of conflicting prints that come into it. It's definitely, it fits the criteria. Just not something I typically would look at, because also Morgan Stanley is, Morgan Stanley. Okay, that's a very, very name brand stock. And when you have name brand stocks, you bring name brand market makers in it, and it just makes things definitely a lot, a lot harder for yourself. But if you're going to look at that, look at JPM too. Not JPM. What bank this morning did I see? I didn't put it on my list because I don't have any interest in trading it. Let's see. I forget which one it is, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'll figure it out which one it was. There's another bank that was moving pretty well this morning, but unfortunately I don't remember, because one of the things is, remember, I always, when I go into my mornings, I want to find something that has cliff notes. I do not want to trade something that has a big story. And a bank, there's no bigger stories than banks. They're pretty much the most name brand things that we're going to have out there. So not for me, but you know what? If it's something that you like, you can definitely keep it up. Just not something I would trade. All right, guys. So we don't have that much. So, like I said, we have a lot of potential, but we don't really have anything out there that's really definite yet. So let's make sure that we're waiting for that, and we're waiting, and we're just patient, because once again, the mornings, even the pre-markets have been a little bit slow. We're going to get those great trades that come in, but there's no reason that we have to rush anything. All right, so let's make sure that we're focusing on our trading patterns and the things that are going to basically make the biggest effect in our trading by focusing on them. All right, guys, I'll talk to everybody in the chat, and happy trading.